The determination of the Anambra State government to pay attention to agriculture stems from the commitment to boost the sector and make it people-oriented, thus yielding positive results.
It's a drive that has provided a focus in the sense that we started by developing a blueprint, a complete blueprint of agriculture, looking across value chains of all farm types: rice, maize, cassava. These are staple crops: rice, maize, and cassava. And if you go through a blueprint, you will realize that a lot of work was put into that. We looked at arable locations in the state, identified locations where what does best, and in there we now formulated and articulated ways which we will develop these crops to become the best. And ideally, the plan and the model that we have is to become the biggest producers of rice, maize, and cassava.
The agriculture sector of the economy of Anambra State is stirring global accolade and recognition as government remains strong-spirited in making things positively happen for the good of the state, betterment of the citizenry.
Usually, as always, we now decided to put in a lot more of innovation and creativity, style, using technology to drive our process. And so these all worked out to give us some sort of safe landing, because we now develop some sort of predictive sort of agriculture where we can work and define and follow up what we're doing to the level where we are today.
The progress and achievement through agricultural transformation in Anambra State is a product from the high-tech computer-based situation room at the Ministry of Agriculture.
So here what we've done is to develop a platform that we call the Farmer Information System. And we've been able to capture our farmer database, farmer data, to an extent to their biodata, capture the names, the farm locations, the farm types, and also gone past just data collection to information management. Because when these data are collected, we're now able to analyze that and be able to use the information we have to manage what we're doing in agriculture. This is why we've achieved what we've done in rice. That's what we are achieving, or we're going to be doing in maize, and what we're doing in cassava at the moment.
Within the four walls of the room, the ministry plans and designs agro blueprint across notable crops within the 21 council areas of the state.
To show you over here as the number of farmers we have totally in the state. Across that total number we have there, the largest also is still Ayamele, followed by Ihiala. As you can see, total number of cooperatives here, Ihiala is 6.8, they are the fourth, but in terms of number of farmers there, it's obvious, because in rice we only have 8 locations where we do, 9 local governments where we do that. Educational level of our farmers, you can see 54% is first school level 70, O level 26%, and BSc 76%. What this is actually showing us is that, to an extent, our farmers are not illiterate. And so, but also, what this is helping us to do also, when we are going to do any sort of training across the board, we know the level of training and how we are engaging these farmers. Here also we have the total farmers gender, the female 56%. That's what the federal government wants to see, but this is real. I mean, ladies are more engaged than the men in this farm. Here also we have the age range of our farmers. If you look at here, between 0 to 40 years, we have about 24-25% of our farmers. But from 61 or from 40 to 80, we have over 70-something percent. So this is giving us a lot more information now. So we know we're doing a lot here to increase the youth participation and engagement, to fill up this gap, because in the next 20 years we know our farmer community will go old.
Anambra State is delineated according to specific agricultural produce peculiar to specific areas across the council areas in the state. Each council area is therefore attached to the particular crop that grows well on its soil.
For example, now we know that we have a total number of farmers we have in the state. Currently, we've generated and registered in the state 98,583. More farmers are coming up to register as we sensitize, as we also identify these farmers and the farm types, as we create cooperatives in various communities. More farmers are coming to the system. So we have 98,583 farmers. We have a certain number of cooperatives, and we have this number of farm types. Farm types is yam, cassava, basically. So you can see the analysis now. If you look at the analysis we've been able to do, the total number of cooperatives in the 21 local governments in the state, we know that the largest number of cooperatives we have is in Anambra, followed by Anambra East, followed by Anambra Oka North, and here.
Rice is a staple food not only in Nigeria but in most parts of the world. The cultivation of rice is also worldwide. Anambra State is on the list of pronounced states in Nigeria endowed with the potentialities to produce rice even in commercial quantity.
First of all, identified the real farmers, validated them, traced to their farms to understand what they're doing, then work with ADP and programs to provide extension work for them, training for them, and also began to also get them to see the value in following the best practice, as that will give us the proper yield that we want. And so from 2014, statistically we know that we were doing about 2.8 metric tons per hectare. We graduated to 3.5 to 4.5. As a matter of fact, last year we got in various locations where we did 7 metric tons per hectare.
Rice cultivation has become an all-year-round chore with the introduction of modern farming techniques. Such methods like irrigation and implements in vogue and trend have helped in making rice not only available but better and affordable.
But we know that the issues that we know we have at the moment now, which we are also addressing with our programs, and also the federal government is also stepping in to help. One is, we know Anambra State has got so much issues with erosion and therefore our land are kind of shrinking. Two is environments where we know we needed to irrigate. With some areas, for example in Omo, where we know we're not working on irrigating that environment, where we know we can get over 12,000 hectares of land in that environment, contiguous, if that's well developed and irrigated. So we know that irrigation and funding for that would also be one area that we need to facilitate. But as we speak now, that's part of the plans where His Excellency has actually stepped up our budget from 1 to 5 billion to be able to facilitate those. And also the help that he has provided, and a lot more coming on board to mechanize and make sure that our tractors and machineries that we will use for planting and harvesting are all there. So we think with irrigation technically sorted out, that will bump our harvest from now 2016. We've achieved about 235,000 metric tons, passing our capacity of 210, which we've estimated we were going to do in 2016. Now we've
gone over that, and we're thinking that 2017, with all the programs and policies and schemes that we have for 2017, we think we're going to be doubling or tripling that estimated or achievable estimate we've done for 2016.
Rice is presently popular among families and homes. It has become part of every menu. Sometimes in the long past, rice had become an exclusive preserve of the rich, the high and the mighty. The poor never thought of except on Sundays or during festivities or special occasions. Then rice was that once-in-a-while food for the less privileged. The glaring impediment militating against full harnessing of rice production and availability in Nigeria, nay Anambra State, has been the low level of support to local farmers and growers. In consideration of this and to ensure both food security and sustenance, the government of Anambra State designed a package to address the trend.
To give us additional 5 billion
Hey!
for all lending to our farmers. This is because in your cooperatives you have done very well. You are very serious about what we are doing. You are very serious about feeding Anambra and beyond. And it is in tandem with the policy of the federal government to grow food to feed everybody, so that we'll stop importing food, and we can achieve that. And we have already started in the right direction.
First of all, in 2015, His Excellency, the Governor, provided rice for all the public servants. And what that did was, one, it actually introduced a lot more people into agriculture. A lot more processing environment came on board. And that also opened up opportunities for the youth to come in and join agriculture. And so doing, engaged a lot of sectors on the value chain across the board, from provision of the seeds to the farmers farming, and to the processors, to the end users and buyers. And as you can see, across the whole rice value chain, the production cycle became very efficient. Our farmers now know what they're supposed to do to get the best yield. And we also tapped into the CBN Anchor program, which will now provide facilities for the farmers. So what the governor did this time with the ministry is, we also looked at opportunities and how we could standardize our production. And we thought, okay, the best thing to do first of all is to look at the certified seeds that we needed to produce and distribute to our farmers. So we made sure we standardized the seed distribution, so we know we have the same Faro 44 that we grow across the board from the same source. Now on top of that, now we have developing our multiplication center, so that we know that in the next farming season coming, we will be supplying standard foundation seeds to certified seeds to our farmers. So those policies and models that we're putting in place are geared towards standardizing our production, increasing our yields, and also bringing Anambra Rice to a commercial level where we are today.
Anambra Rice is a brand. It is a product targeted at addressing the domestic needs of the people. It is an agent of a desired change.
Mr. Honorable Commissioner, what precisely is this brand, Anambra Rice?
Well, Anambra Rice was born from the fact that in hindsight, we knew all this while that some of the popular rice that we know around the southeast is being enforced and built by the rice that we grow from Anambra State. And so we identified that our rice was good, very sweet, and then we knew that what we needed was to give it an added value by processing it to a level where we know the end users or people will eat it without chewing stoned. And so we made sure that we have various processing environments with the right capacity and equipment to drive the processing. So that name was done out of one, to commercialize rice, looking at agriculture as a wealth-driven sector, commercialize rice to become a household name, because we understand that to drive agro produce into a commercial level, you need to make sure that the rudiments are all ready and done for that to fly, and that's what we had done.
What is this product, Anambra rice?
Anambra rice is one of our brands. It's rice that is cultivated here in Anambra, processed here or milled here in Anambra, and then packaged here in Anambra.
The advent of Anambra rice is propelled by a mutual partnership by the government with a private concern that provides full technical support to growers or local rice farmers in the state. With a full 3 production line high capacity milling plant at Amici, Nnewi South Council area, Stein Industries, an indigenous company, positioned itself for the desired technical obligations in a relationship the state government put in place in its agricultural revolution for better days in the sector for the benefit of the people and the state.
The state, remember the state, the government is a policy driver. And so what the state has done is validated processing outfits. Stein Rice, we have Cortex Farms, we have Udoka, we have Wisdom. These are processing outfits that we have validated that they have the right equipment that will process our rice. Stein has a capacity of about 440 metric ton capacity, which obviously is the biggest within the southeast, I guess. And they have helped tremendously to process Anambra rice, bearing due to the capacity that they have. And other processors have also engaged in producing the rice, Anambra brand rice.
The production of Anambra rice follows a world-class procedure with available units in place. The growers and farmers cultivate the various species of rice.
Well, our highest patronizers are the Anambra State government. They make sure that we're in business by way of patronizing our products. One, they equally make sure we're in business by way of assisting us in areas of getting our necessary raw materials. Before the Luo Uno government, we used to only get less than 5% of our raw materials here in Anambra. But now we get up to 65% because of the Luo Uno agricultural revolution. We either have 2 ways, either from what we call farm gate, buying from the farm gate, or that the farmers supply us here at the factory. That's the only 2 ways. Then in terms of cultivation, we equally have, we manage some of the Anambra State rice fields at Oboji. What that means is that we have our growers that grow the rice on our behalf, and then we provide some of the logistics for them, because the government is currently providing most of the necessary variables, most of the necessary inputs that they need for cultivation.
At harvest, the paddy gets to the mill and the journey to find quality rice begins.
From the time it's harvested, every other thing is done here at this factory. From the parboiling, drying, processing and packaging, they're all done here.
The first stage is the parboiling of the rice paddy. This is the point where the paddy rice passes through some heat, softening the paddy and transforming same in readiness for further processing down the line. The paddy pouring unit serves as the entry point for the parboiled paddy into the production line. The drum sieve receives the paddy first and takes off all big impurities still accompanying the paddy or escaped during loading. Modern rice milling is all about cleaning up the grain or rice head. Pure cleaning, therefore, begins at the paddy cleaner, where small, stubborn impurities are finally taken care of. Rice milling is capacity-based. This requires that the volume or quantity of rice paddy processed in every production day is determined. This function is carried out at the scaling section. The first practical aspect of milling begins with the husker machine, where the husking process takes off the husk from the head grain. Going over to the paddy separator, the husk is separated from the grain, allowing the rice to continue, and the husk goes out of the processing line. The undehusked paddy is returned to the husk machine. The thickness grader ensures that there is uniformity in the rice. The premature grains, for instance, are sorted out from the up-to-date ones. All along, the journey of the grains through the processing stages is made possible by a series of cup-like elevators. At the vertical whitener, the process of whitening the rice grain is initiated. The grain is also properly prepared for accurate destoning at this point. The length grader unit ensures that the full-length grains are separated from the short ones. This process makes room for the packaging of grains of global standard length, an attribute that Anambra rice is known for. From harvesting through most other stages in rice production, stone remains a constant impurity inherent in the produce. The presence of it makes a great mess of the consumer's pleasure derivable in eating rice. The destoning process in rice production restores the full pleasure of the consumer by removing all stone impurities from the head rice. Making the rice grain stone-free begins the final process in readiness to leaving the processing plant after bagging. The grain is polished, ensuring full cleanliness and smoothness before grading same into little broken, half-broken and full grains at the rice plant sifter unit. The deed is finally done at final sorter unit by the sorter and buller machines. Every odd-colored grain is separated from the ideal ones and channeled, making way for the final products to be sent for final bagging.
Bag of Anambra rice to Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, so that Anambra rice will be what they will be eating in the villa. So to the President, thank you. The CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, the Anambra rice, so that they will be eating Anambra rice in Abuja and in Kebbi and everywhere. To the glory of God. Amen.
Behold the famous Anambra rice. Made wholly locally, Anambra rice meets world standard.
Anambra rice is the best local rice in the whole Nigeria. It's almost comparable to the foreign rice, apart from the fact that we use mixed grains as a result of paucity of paddy. Because we don't have enough paddy, so we buy from different farmers. We buy different grains, both short, long, medium, and we mix it together. That's the only difference between Anambra rice and the foreign rice. Otherwise, it's as good as foreign. It's destoned, whitened, polished, and double sauteed. Same as the foreign rice.
Back to the land, oh, is back to good health. Back to the land, oh, is back to good wealth. Akajaja, oh, nebute onu manu manu. Akajaja, oh, nebute onu manu manu.